So what's happening with Fender?
I want to talk directly to Fender here. Monopolies are never good.
In Nashville, staring out my window, watching Fender cease and desist letters.
Cease and desist.
A bunch of cease and desist letters.
And I don't care. There's enough already.
The guitar world has been buzzing with all the news lately. So just to give you a brief update in case you've not been following the news. Sometime in March, in Germany, there was a copyright infringement that Fender claimed on one of the Chinese manufacturers that used to sell Strat-style guitars on AliExpress. And they ended up winning that just because the Chinese manufacturer did not show up to the hearing. And that was all over the news. But more importantly, recently, they've sent a cease and desist notice to several independent manufacturers. These are smaller companies manufacturing their own guitars, manufacturing Strat-style guitars. And this has happened across the US, and it has shocked everyone as to why this is happening, what's gone wrong with Fender. The Strat-style guitar has been iconic since the invention of it, since Leo Fender came up with that concept. And it's been in the hands of several legends. People have been inspired by that guitar. And that's what we've come to know and love about the electric guitar. But the recent legal struggles have really been a talking point. And today I have Aditya and Varun with me. And we're going to discuss about how this affects all of us and what's going on. Starting off, Aditya, you've been the co-founder of Procraft and dealing with Strat-style guitars. How did you take this news?
Well, very interesting. I mean, we've been following it closely because, and only because, we bring in most of the guitars, electric guitars that we are bringing in right now are Strat-style shaped. So we bring in Stridums, we bring in Scores, we're bringing in Hex. We're talking to another couple of companies, Crafter, that we just soon going to introduce, and another couple of them. And all of them are interestingly, like so many of them are building Strat shape. And honestly, if you ask me, I've traveled a fair bit all across China, I've traveled a fair bit. We just went to Indonesia to a bunch of factories. Don't quote me, but like I want to say about 70% of the factories building electric guitars are this shape. And it can be any brand, right? Like, so for me, it's very interesting as to, it's fair. Look, they designed it. So if you ask me, they have the right to do what they're doing. But at the same time, why do it after like so many years? When was this design? When was
Like
this guitar
8 years ago.
50s, yeah.
Yeah. So you wake up when like other guitar manufacturers have suddenly like started doing what you've done in terms of the shape. You've inspired them. Fair. Good thing. That's like a plus one. But like they're doing it better now.
Yep.
Is that some sort of jealousy?
Could be.
I mean, this shape was the Strat shape, then probably the next most common shape, like this shape we've seen was at the Ibanez guitars and the Yamaha guitars, and we're still talking like late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
So if this was supposed to happen, I think that would have been a great time.
Yeah.
Right? Because you could have stopped the problem right
there.
there, or sort of, cleared the matter out. But now we're like about, say, 45, 48 years too late. And this sort of a thing is happening. You know what happened with Fender was they were the originators, they were the classic sound and everything. And people sort of later on wanted some more. Mm-hmm. So they started hot rodding the Strats. That's how the boutique manufacturers came in, which sort of became big and set up companies right after that. That's how you had the whole 80s, saw the whole, the Charvel, the Jacksons, and then everything else, the Tyler, and all these companies pop up. And obviously there was the Japan leg, which was Yamaha and Ibanez, and all these people.
And the smaller ones as well, right? Like there's so many boutique ones who are spectacular jobs.
Yeah. So people wanted something more, is what I was saying. So some people want 2 extra frets, some people want a roasted maple, some people have specific things. And then Fender didn't really, in the initial days, even till quite late, didn't pay attention to that. But they always had the custom shop option, which was like, you know, that's like a premium thing. And whereas the other builders actually heard what the customers want,
Yeah.
and they delivered that. And that's the story that's been going on from the last 40 to 50 years.
50 years. Yeah, what's interesting is the terminology that they've been using in terms of copyright versus trademark, the Strat style body. From my understanding, again, I'm no legal expert. This is what my understanding is. When you talk about copyrights, it's more of an artistic thing. You're being creative. When you talk about trademark, it's more about function. And everything that you have has a specific purpose. And that's, I think, where the language gets confusing for the rest of us as to why is Fender doing this now. We know that earlier in 2009, they actually lost this, stating that it was, this is a general shape of an electric guitar. You can't copyright this. But now things are a little different. So what are your thoughts on the legal aspect of it? This has nothing to do with music or Stevie Ray Vaughan or bending.
So I have a question here. This is very interesting that you mentioned this. So now, if they are talking about the copyright on being creative and designing this exact thing, of course this is not a Fender, but what if I change this a bit? What if this cutaway becomes sharp suddenly? What if I give a contour over here? Will then this not fall under the copyright infringement?
I mean,
What if then you take this, the offshoot of this would be a super strat,
yeah.
and it has sharp cutaways, it has 24 frets. Exactly. What if you take that off? Now that's
Or does 3 single coils make a Strat? There's no written boundary
Yeah.
as to where you're getting at. Yeah.
right? So my take is, with all due respect to Fender, I think it's very late in the day to actually come about and start doing this. Get into the competition, get into the healthy competition of things. Again, we're very small people in terms of the size of, compare a Procraft to a Fender. We have not we don't have the right to say what they should be doing, but I've seen a fair share of brands, I've seen a fair share of manufacturers, traveled a fair bit, and I want to say that people are doing way better things now, and which is why they should treat it as healthy competition and do better.
Yeah, recently with our line of Stridum ST30s and ST20s, we launched a whole bunch of new colors, and people are now identifying with that. They get a personality, they get so much more. You wouldn't be able to get that from a Fender Strat. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, never in a million years you'd see those colors on
us.
or Squire or a Fender, or even you'll have to go really custom shop. That's the the solution they
exactly,
offer.
and no one can afford that. Again, another thing is the price point of Strats. They're super expensive. I had been playing guitar for about 10-12 years before I got my first Fender Strat. But my first electric guitar was a Strat copy. It was a Japanese Aria Pro, and if it wasn't for that guitar, I wouldn't buy a Fender Strat. So my thoughts are, you're destroying the future of the company by just cutting it off right here. It's just healthy competition.
No, and it's that it's come to that point because they are basically there's a way of doing really harsh things, but saying it gently, right? So the paths that they have taken with the whole letter and the language used in that, and they're you have to pay all the legal fee and also destroy all the
all the guitars.
And also on top of that there is a penalty you have to pay to the head corporation of Fender. So these things, and this is for these notices are being sent to people boutique builders and small scale to medium scale builders who will just the legal fees itself will be their annual revenue.
Interesting thing will be when they go to China and do this. Will they be able to do that in China and in Indonesia, where I would say 90% of the Fenders are made today? So
what they did was, the Germany case was actually a guitar that they bought from China, and then they had the case done in Germany, because I don't think they can go to China and
exactly.
No, I'll tell you what. So AliExpress did have several guitars back in the day.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore. Which were exact Fender copies. Ditto. They even had
Fender written?
They did have the Fender USA, whatever decal. So that was a cut-to-cut clone copy.
Yeah.
Not made by Fender. Now, if they want to go and shut down that guitar, because that guitar would go
That
out in the
makes
market
sense.
as a legit Fender and
Yeah.
just confuse the market, right? So things like that I understand. Okay,
Yeah.
because imagine if car companies did that, you'd had a Rolls Royce manufactured in
Ulhasnagar.
in Ulhasnagar, right? With the exact cutaway, the exact colors, the exact engine, everything, but it's not a Rolls Royce, right? So when it comes to that thing, I understand. But
Yeah.
now they want to go behind a medium, small scale company like say LSL Guitars.
Yeah.
They send them a notice, for example. So now that's because then where does this end? You'll go after LSL, then will you go after Yamaha?
PRS?
Will you go after Silver Sky? Will you go after John Mayer model? Will you go after Sir, which is significantly building like
Incredible guitars.
incredibly made guitars? Will you go after Godin? Will you go after Friedman? Anyone? Yeah.
It's hard to tell where this is going right now. Is it just like all a smoke screen for Fender to, I don't know, get attention?
Some PR?
Yeah, some
Probably.
PR.
Yeah, they're going the Nickelback direction.
Should we ask people in the comments as to what we feel?
Yeah,
or what
are
they
your
feel
thoughts?
about it?
Do you think they got jealous because John Mayer went to PRS? Yeah, I'm sure everyone is, looking at this. In fact, on one of my live streams, someone mentioned this about a month when the Germany case happened. That's when I started reading about it, and he mentioned it in reference to SCO guitars, because SCO does a lot of Strat style guitars.
Yeah.
And so a lot of their thoughts are like, okay, it's done, the guitar world is finished, and it's. But I don't think it's that easy to just destroy something. That's
I
been-
mean, that's the question. Where does it stop? Does Fender go to WhatsApp also and say your emoji for a guitar is a Strat icon? Where is this heading? Like there should be. I think what's happening is, see, we are in times where, for brands to survive in business, especially people like Fender, have extremely massive overheads and the whole cost of running such a large scale of business, and if the business has not been good, this is what they're resorting to do now.
Yeah.
Right, so they're reaching out, and people are using the word bullying now even, it's like you hit a 6 with your cricket bat and the other kid calls his mom like, hey, he'll not play with us, so it's an example of that is what I'm seeing. Okay, they're not able to, if they're not able to keep up with the market, they want to destroy the market and force everyone else to come.
Yeah, come on.
You know what happens when this stuff happens? People will sort of start building their own Strat copies. They'll make take the matter in their own hands, which is what happened. I was telling you about the whole the Van Halen guitars.
Yeah.
There was no official manufacturer for a Van Halen guitar, and PV initially started doing that, whether there was a copyright or not. People sort of said, no problem, we'll build our own. So they took seconds, $80 bodies and $100 necks, and started building their own. Started painting,
taping them and
painting them and painting them
I
on
did
their
one of
own.
those
Yeah,
as
you
a
did?
project.
Wow. Right. What we need to come back is it's about the music and the playing and the
Yeah.
fun and the escape that we get from the life that we live.
Yes.
When we do come back to this. Now, don't mess with this.
Yeah, that's what I
Right.
really feel annoyed with Fenders. Like, you're taking away the experience of being able to just play an electric guitar. The same one that, this color is the Texas Flood, which is similar to Stevie Ray Vaughan. Now, if someone is a fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan, they would want to have this guitar, and you're just taking away that joy. We're already living in times where AI is taking over everything, and you're not discouraging people from playing guitar, man.
Yeah.
Again, talking about the future of this, in case Fender does win this and they're successful in monopolizing the Strat style body, then what happens?
Interesting. I have my take on this. Then guitar manufacturers would go, and I've closely worked with manufacturers, right? Then they would take this guitar and they would tweak a little part of it and they would continue building it. Exactly. So it's not hard to change the prototype.
Yeah.
In this day and age, everything is made on a CNC.
Yep.
Everything is so modular, you can change it like this. So it's a matter of time. It's nothing to, honestly, no manufacturer is going to panic. No Stridum, no Score, no Hex, no Craft, any brand, right? For that matter, no one's going to panic.
Yeah, I think Fender will end up being on the losing side of it because now they have become the enemy. In fact, Gibson was almost bankrupt because of how heavily legal they went on all of their, patents and everything, and that became a huge problem till I think Slash came along and that kind of saved them, and they took it in a different direction. But it would be sad to see Fender go in that direction. Still love the brand, still love the guitars. It's been my dream guitar. When I started playing, I was like, that's something that I want to get towards. I want that Fender on the headstock. But at the same time, there's so many other cool guitars, man. And
No, I
they
mean,
play
when
so
I
well.
look at my guitar, like, there's obviously a Strat there, and it's a Fender there. There's a couple of other guitars also, and I love them all equally. Why does one of them want to, cut the other ones off, right? So that's what I'm, worried about. I think it'll be fine, is what I'm estimating. Like you mentioned, the 2009 case where they, in the US especially, they came up with the final solution that this is what an electric guitar shape generally is, and you can continue. All the other manufacturers can. So they declared the Strat shape as public domain, like an open source platform of sorts, right? I think Germany will have, or Europe in general will have that sort of an update.
Yeah.
Considering how liberal they are.
Yeah, oh god. So then,
Alright, so that was our discussion about Fender and everything happening legally in the news. A lot of people are talking about this. It's all over YouTube. There have been several articles. There's also a GoFundMe campaign for all the people who have received, all the manufacturers who have received a cease and desist to help with the legal fees and things like that. So it's a massive buzz. And we were also curious about this, and we were discussing about this, and I'm sure you guys are also on board and following the news and following everything. So we would like to know your thoughts. What do you all think? Is this fair? Is it not fair? Is this going to affect the guitar world immensely? And if you're a guitar player or someone who loves collecting guitars, how does this affect you personally? So would really love to hear all your thoughts. And this was our discussion, this was our take. Again, none of us are like legal professionals or anything. This is whatever news and information we've received from the public space. So there's no exclusive information here. And hopefully the Strat style guitars go on and live on to fulfill a lot of people's dreams and ambitions and create better music. Till then, we'll see you on the next one.